Check your bank account. Not because you're about to buy something big, not because rent is due today, but because you feel that familiar knot in your stomach, that quiet anxiety that shows up even when nothing is technically wrong. And when you open the app, the numbers look fine. You got paid, bills are covered, you're not overdrafted, you're not panicking, but you're also not moving forward. Every month feels like a reset button. You work, you get paid, you pay bills, you breathe for a second, and then somehow you're right back where you started. And the scariest part is this: you're not lazy, you're not irresponsible, you're not bad with money. You're actually trying. Yet somehow, year after year, nothing really changes. If that feels uncomfortably familiar, yeah, that's literally most people. And today, we're talking about why. My name is Linda, and I spend way too much time thinking about the psychological trap keeping you poor without you realizing it. If you're someone who still struggles financially or want to grow your finances, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Now look, this is not going to be another video where someone tells you to stop buying coffee and magically your life will improve. Because here's the thing. Most people who are struggling financially already know what they're supposed to do: spend less, save more, invest early, avoid debt. That advice has been repeated so many times it's almost insulting at this point. So the real question isn't what to do. The real question is why. Even when you know better, you still don't do it consistently. And that's where psychology comes in. Here's what most people don't realize. Money problems are rarely math problems. They're behavior problems. There's a famous finding in behavioral economics that shows financial outcomes are far more strongly influenced by habits and decision-making patterns than by income level. Researchers at places like Harvard, Princeton, and the London School of Economics have shown that two people earning the exact same salary, living in the same city with the same cost of living, can end up in completely different financial situations over time. One builds wealth, the other stays stuck. Same math, different psychology. And that difference is what we're talking about today. The psychological trap keeping you poor without you realizing it is simple, but brutal. Your brain is wired to prioritize short-term emotional relief over long-term financial freedom. That's it. That's the trap. And before you think, okay, but that doesn't apply to me, let me explain why it applies to almost everyone. Your brain evolved to help you survive immediate threats: hunger, danger, stress. It was never designed to care deeply about a version of you that exists 10 or 20 years in the future. So when you face a choice between feeling better now or benefiting later, your brain almost always chooses now. That doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. Now, you might be thinking, but I'm not reckless with money. I don't blow my paycheck. I don't gamble. I don't do anything extreme. Exactly. That's why this trap is so effective. It doesn't show up as chaos, it shows up as reasonable decisions that feel justified in the moment. Let's walk through a realistic example. Say you earn £2,200 per month after tax. That's not rich, but it's not terrible either. Your rent is £900, utilities and phone are £200, transport is £150, food is £300, subscriptions and random spending add up to £150. That leaves you with about £500 at the end of the month. On paper, that's room to save, to invest, to build something. But here's what actually happens. You tell yourself, I've worked hard. I deserve to enjoy life a little. You say, I'll start saving next month. You think, it's only £40. You rationalize, I've had a stressful week. So that 500 slowly disappears, not in one big mistake, but in dozens of small, emotionally driven decisions. A meal out here, a delivery there, a new gadget, a spontaneous purchase that feels small enough to not matter. And by the end of the month, that 500 has quietly turned into 120. You're still paying bills, you're still functioning, but you're not building anything. Now here's the math that most people never stop to calculate. If you overspend by just £300 per month on things that feel minor, that's £3,600 per year. Over 10 years, that's £36,000. And that's without accounting for growth. If that same £300 had been invested monthly at a modest 7% annual return, which is roughly the long-term average of broad market investing, you'd be looking at over £52,000 after 10 years. Same income, same life, same opportunities, completely different outcomes. This is where it gets really interesting. Why does your brain allow this to happen even when you understand the math? Because your brain doesn't experience future pain the same way it experiences present pleasure. Psychologists call this hyperbolic discounting. It means your brain heavily discounts future consequences compared to immediate rewards. Future debt feels distant, future stress feels abstract, future regret doesn't feel real yet, but a small pleasure right now feels vivid, tangible, earned. That's why a $7 coffee today feels harmless, but a 2,000-pound emergency fund feels overwhelming. One triggers emotion.
The other feels like a number on a screen. Your brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do. But modern money systems exploit this wiring. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Living paycheck to paycheck isn't always about income. In the UK, multiple financial surveys show that over 40% of people earning above the national median salary still report significant financial stress. These are not minimum wage workers. These are professionals with degrees, careers, and stable jobs. So what's going on? Lifestyle creep. Every time your income increases, your lifestyle quietly expands to match it. A nicer apartment, a newer phone, better food, more convenience. Your expenses rise just fast enough to keep you comfortable, but never free. And comfort feels good. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels like success. But comfort is expensive, and comfort slowly kills urgency. Here's what most people don't realize. You don't stay stuck because life is hard. You stay stuck because life is just comfortable enough. There's no emergency forcing change, no crisis demanding action, just enough relief to delay hard decisions. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I genuinely don't make enough to save or invest. I'm just trying to survive. And look, that's a fair thought, but let's challenge it honestly. If saving and investing only worked for high earners, then wealth would only ever belong to people who already had money. But that's not what the data shows. What actually matters most is consistency, not amount. Saving £50 per month won't make you rich overnight, but it does something far more important. It changes how you see yourself. Identity follows action. The moment you start saving consistently, even a small amount, your brain starts labeling you as someone who plans ahead, someone who values the future, someone who doesn't need instant relief to feel okay. And that identity compounds. People who build wealth don't save because they're rich. They're rich because they save. That shift doesn't happen with motivation. It happens with systems. I once spoke to someone who earned less than all their friends. Same city, same age, same cost of living. But while everyone else was constantly stressed about money, this person was calm. Not because they earned more, not because they were smarter, but because they automated £100 per month into savings the day they got paid. That money never sat in their account. It never tempted them. It never triggered emotional decisions. They removed the choice. And that's critical, because every time you manually decide whether to save or spend, your emotional brain shows up and argues. Automation removes psychology from the equation. Money you never see doesn't feel like a loss. That's not discipline. That's design. Here's what you can do starting today without changing your income. First, pay future you first. Set up an automatic transfer the same day you get paid. Even £25 matters more than zero. Second, reduce decision points. Fewer subscriptions, fewer impulse triggers. The less often you have to choose, the less often your emotions win. Third, track one number only. Not your entire budget, just your monthly surplus. Focus on making that number grow, even slowly. Fourth, delay pleasure by 24 hours. Most impulse spending disappears once the emotional spike fades. Here's the most surprising part of all of this. Once you escape this psychological trap, money starts to feel lighter. Not because you have more of it, but because you have control. Less anxiety, less guilt, more options. And the wild part is that none of this required a raise first. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to stop letting your brain make every financial decision in the moment. Financial freedom isn't about restriction, it's about direction. And the moment you start choosing long-term peace over short-term relief, everything begins to shift. If this video helped you see your money differently, hit the like button so more people can escape this trap. Subscribe if you want more psychology-based money videos that actually make sense. The goal isn't to feel rich today, it's to be free tomorrow.